Welcome to On Texas Football. I'm CJ Vogel, joined by Gerry Hamilton as always for this week's recruiting breakdown. Gerry, again, we're in the middle of August now. We're talking about football. We're talking about football. We're talking about football. But recruiting still has some lifelines going on right now, and there's still some decisions yet to be made later on this month. Of course, we'll get into those here in a bit. But I realize you're up in Dallas. I see you in the mobile command center right now. You stopped by Skyline yesterday to see Texas 2025 linebacker commit Elijah Bo Barnes. What'd you see from him?
Yeah, first thing was, so I got there, they were doing a weight room workout, and then they finished that up, and the guys weighed in. He weighed in at 239 pounds, so almost 6'3", 6'2 and a half, 239 pounds. He was 230 pounds at the spring district track meet when he ran the 10.9 when he eclipsed that 11.0 mark. So he looks good physically. He's going to play Mike backer this year for Skyline. He'll also probably play 10 to 15 snaps a game on offense at running back, or even maybe a slot hybrid flex tight end, wide receiver, probably more running back, but he's going to get 10, 15 snaps a game on offense, in addition to being inside Mike backer for Dallas Skyline. They may move him around and even bring him off the edge from time to time. His linebackers coach is Peter Jenkins, former Texas linebacker. The defensive backs coach at Skyline, Christian Scott, former top 100 recruit in America and Texas safety. So a lot of Texas flavor there at Dallas Skyline. Elijah Barnes locked in with his commitment. Looks really good physically. I kind of foresee 6'3", 250, running 4.6, playing inside linebacker, and also moving him a little off the edge at the next level.
I was going to ask you about that, but 250 at the next level, running that well, you'll take that all day.
All day.
And, yeah, absolutely. Before we talk about your other stops, Gerry, do you mind talking about our sponsor for this week's recruiting breakdown, Mark Saunders and Allstate?
Absolutely. The Texas Allstate agent, Mark Saunders, is the best, guys, when it comes to protecting all your stuff. Wouldn't it be great to have one singular place that protects it all? Here's the great news you need. Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders is the only insurance agent you'll need to help keep tabs on protection for all your stuff. Home, car, boat, your motorcycle, RV, and ATV, all of it, every single thing. Do what many other On Texas Football family members have done. Call Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders' office today, 512-218-8571. With his over 35 years of experience, Mark Saunders is the man to call. 512-218-8571. Do what so many other OTF members have done. Call Mark Saunders, get the best rates you can, and that's going to be calling him and letting him handle that for you.
Well, perfect, Gerry. Thank you, and thank you to Mark Saunders as well. Talking about letting people handle stuff for you. You're up in Dallas. Texas has done a great job in the DFW area as well. A few targets still remain in the 2025 cycle, as well as looking ahead a little bit to the 2026 cycle. Where have you been so far today, and what's still on the docket for you?
6 a.m. practice at Louisville High this morning. See Michael Fasusi, some of their young talent. They got a really good 27 class, which we'll talk about later down the road. But obviously Texas fans and any Oklahoma fans or A&M fans tuning in, Michael Fasusi announces August 21st. The reason that date is important to Fasusi, this is the 5-year anniversary of when him and his family came to the United States of America. That is a big day for Fasusi and his household. He is a young football player. I mean, this is a year 3.5 of really playing organized football. And of course, he told us in a prior interview what he loves about football is he can be aggressive and hit people, and it's not illegal. So, you can get a 15-yard penalty. But, that's what he loves about football. But he just turned 17 July 12th. So he's very young. He will be 17 as a high school midterm graduate when he enrolls at the college of his choice. And CJ, I think we have similar info. We still think this is Oklahoma or Texas. Texas A&M is not going quietly. They're in the battle on some level. Will they be the pick? I don't know. I hear more Oklahoma continuing to slightly trend over Texas. But the one thing Michael Fasusi told me this morning is that he talked to Steve Sarkisian 2 days ago, talked to Brent Venables 4 days ago. He is staying in contact, not just with Biedenbaugh at Oklahoma and Flood at Texas, but these head coaches. Everybody is invested in this recruitment, and all these conversations are very important as he gets closer to this decision.
Yeah, I've still kind of side a little bit to the Oklahoma side of things. Of course, there's a lot of factors in that direction right now. His best friend is a PWO for the Sooners next year. Biedenball on that official visit went very well in terms of projecting to the NFL, and also what Biedenball's done in terms of putting guys in the NFL. So a couple factors there that I think the Sooners kind of hold a small edge on right now, of course. And he is remaining in contact with Texas A&M every day. That's another little nugget I wanted to drop in there. Again, still, however, more Red River rivalry there for the 5-star out of Louisville. But you were also up at Forney, and you got to see a very talented running back 2026, Javian Osborne. What's the latest on him? How is he looking today?
Yeah, we'll have a little special for you at the end of this recruiting breakdown today. A little 3-minute interview I just did with Javian Osborne. Get his thoughts on the Texas pool party. Him and his parents were both there. Then he went to Michigan after that. Just his thoughts, conversation with Sark, to short choice, Texas in general. But looks good physically, 5'9", 190, 191 pounds. Jeff Fleener, the head coach there, I've known for years because he was the offensive coordinator at Allen when Kyler Murray came through. I mean, he said what makes Osborne different than other guys is his second level ability. The feel, the vision, the feel for when to turn it on, kind of play with the pace a little bit, then hit the accelerator. But Javian Osborne looks really good. They have a talented group of skill kids at Forney. They have a young receiver, a 2026 receiver that TCU and a couple of others have offered that I think will be on the Texas radar this season. And then after Forney, look, we're here. I'm at Saxe High. I'm doing this recruiting breakdown from the parking lot at Saxe High. So we're going to go in, see Kalika Lockett here in a little bit this afternoon. So busy day one in DFW. I'll be here through Thursday. Going to hit some schools tomorrow on Wednesday, and then Thursday hit schools as well. And then I speak at the Texas X's Fort Worth chapter on Thursday night to get everybody fired up for football season. And somebody will probably ask if CJ, you or I can play running back at this point.
Yeah, it might be. The last time our Bobby Burton spoke at a Texas Exes convention, some good things happened, Jerry.
That's
so
right.
Perhaps some segue into that as well. I'll be down in the Central Texas area. I'll be making a trip or two later this week to knock out some prospects. But before we get into that, and that'll come later this week, Jerry, we got to talk about a big one, way south. That's Jonah Williams. And of course, Texas feels like they've got a shot. LSU, Texas A&M, again, not going quietly in this one. Baseball has become a larger factor. And now that we know, as you broke a few weeks ago, Jerry, that he's going to be a midterm enrollee, that might change a little moving forward for Jonah Williams. Have you heard anything new on him? Or are we still sitting there waiting for what is expected to be a August 24th decision date for the 5-star out of Galveston Ball?
Yeah, CJ, Jonah Williams is going to be an interesting decision on August 24th. That's 11 days away. I continue to say the interesting thing with his recruitment is Jonah likes Oregon, and I'm not saying he's going to Oregon. Look, everybody's put in picks everywhere in this recruitment. I mean, there's still picks in for Oklahoma, A&M, Oregon, and who else? Who am I missing? LSU. There's picks in for 4 schools at this point. But look, the key there is he actually going to go far from home? Because nobody in his family has, including his father, who's a star at Galveston Ball that went to the University of Houston. His older brother was committed to Texas, signed with A&M in baseball, ended up going in the draft in the sandwich selection. His middle brother is playing junior college baseball in the state of Texas. So if Jonah Williams were to go to Oregon, he'd be a trailblazer. So let's go take this part. And I'm not saying he's not going to Oregon. Let's say he doesn't go to Oregon, though. What it comes down to Texas A&M, and LSU. One interesting thing he told me was LSU, he thought, had the best plan for him with both sports on his visit. Does that mean he's going to LSU? It doesn't, but it does. That did resonate with Jonah because here's the key. When he made those visits, he was already thinking he was going to be a college football and baseball player. He just wasn't ready to announce it yet. He was going to go through July, play in the Wooden Bat tournament in Atlanta, and still go through that process, which he did very well, by the way, pitching, and then the second half of that tournament hitting the baseball. So he was already leaning to wanting to play college football. And if he was going to do that, he was just going to play college baseball in his mind. So does that resonate enough for LSU to win it? Will he actually go out of state? I think Texas guarded optimism. A&M knows they're in it. LSU thinks they have a real shot at it. So we'll see. And I know Oregon's obvious there. It's going to be one of those 4 schools. The question there, again, is he going to be a trailblazer? and go out of state and do something totally different than his family's done? Or is he going to stay close to home like his other brothers were in college and did do? That's what's going to be interesting to me. I do know he's in constant communication with Texas, Blake Gideon, Steve Sarkisian on the baseball side. I think the baseball side right now, though, and I'm talking all of them, they may not be as involved. I think they've kind of let it be known, we want you. If you pick LSU, if you pick Texas, you pick Texas A&M, we want you as part of the baseball program. I'm not sure that's where the bulk of this decision's coming from. I think this is coming down more to football, NIL opportunities around football, CJ, and then baseball is going to be the secondary part of it.
Yeah, one last thing, that's great stuff, Jerry. One last thing I wanted to add is it feels like those 4 schools, maybe excluding Texas, have all kind of had their time on the top of the podium for Jonah Williams. Maybe that has come because of official visits and extended looks. Again, remember, Texas did not receive an official visit in the month of June. Perhaps later on this football season, we'll see as the calendar turns a little bit. But wanted to mention that there, you want to be on top of that podium in 11 days when he does make a decision. Of course, we're still waiting on decisions for Nick Brooks and Aiden Anding. I'll start with Anding real quick. Again, last word I heard is there's not yet a cemented date in place right now for Aiden Anding, the 4-star cornerback out of Ruston, Louisiana. We're still kind of waiting on him to feel like he's ready to announce. Of course, remember, he was expected to make that decision in early July. He's made that visit to Arkansas and LSU late July, early August when that contact period was there. So Texas still feels like they had the longest established relationship with him at the moment. All up to him right now in terms of finding that time to put it together and make that decision. On Nick Brooks real quick, Jerry, because I know we talked about Fasusi earlier. Still Texas trying to add a 5th offensive lineman this cycle. He recently moved down to Georgia. Anything new in terms of where Texas stands there?
I've been hit up with some DMs in the last few days asking if Georgia was out. Well, Georgia's not out. I don't know if that was reported or if that was talk or what. Georgia's not considered out by the schools recruiting him. That I can tell you. So I still expect the decision to be Texas or Georgia. I do think USC's making a push and they're in it. But I think Texas or Georgia's where this one's been for a while. And where I expect this one to be decided. Does it help Georgia that he's now at Grayson in the Atlanta area? I don't think it hurts them. The key there is they have 4 offensive linemen committed, just like Texas does. One of those guys for sure, Juan Gaston, very similar player, similar prospect, similar position.
Big body.
Big body. Georgia has a couple other offensive linemen actually on the board in addition to Nick Brooks right now. So what will it come down to for Nick Brooks is really that, he's been in Atlanta. This will be the 2nd year he's been in Atlanta. He was as a sophomore. Now he's going to be as a senior for his senior season. So that'll be interesting to see. Is being in Atlanta, is there any influence that could help Georgia even down the line? If he were to commit to Texas in August 23rd or 30th or early September, Georgia's not likely to walk away from that. They really like Nick Brooks. So it's going to be interesting. I think wherever he commits, if he commits to somebody other than Georgia before the season, then you still have to fight that he's going to show up on campus in Athens. It's not far away. There's a lot of college football Saturdays. So this recruitment, wherever he commits, if it's not Georgia, then, let's say if he commits to Texas, Texas is going to have to fight to signing day. It's a kid. It's a lineman that's at Grayson High. It's not far from Athens. They will get him to a game or two. That's recruiting. So that's where we're at with Aiden Anding, as you mentioned. I think Arkansas, Texas, LSU. Again, even if Anding commits to Arkansas or Texas, LSU's not going to quit recruiting him. They're going to say, come on down to a game. And they still have an official visit in their back pocket too.
It's a great point. Of course, we'll be able to listen to Javian Osborne coming up real quick. But before we get to that, Jerry, still have to talk about Michael Terry. And again, they're a similar situation. Oregon's in it. Texas A&M, a common theme here, won't go away quietly. But Nebraska feels like the school in which is making the most noise outside of Texas at the moment. What's the latest you've heard there? And is it going to be a Texas-Nebraska battle to the end here?
Man, it sure seems like it. I mean, I think Michael really likes Oregon. Will Stein's done a really good job in that recruitment. I think it's just going to be too far away for the people around him, right?
Mhm.
Nebraska, easier flight from a San Antonio if you wanted to go that direction. But I think Texas is in the best position. I think they have been since the conclusion of the June visits. Obviously, he was on campus in late July, then went to Oregon, then Nebraska. So he hit those three. I think the three finalists. A&M will also be in that fourth team in the group. But it feels like Texas or Nebraska. I think Texas is in the best position right now. Does that mean they're absolutely going to win it? Look, we live in a different recruiting time, but I do think Texas is in a good spot here, CJ, but they have to go close it.
That's a great point. And fortunately, we've seen Texas come up with some big wins, win closing recruitments, as well as, some learning, points this cycle as well. So we'll certainly have y'all updated later this week. Of course, I'll be on the road. Jerry, you're doing a tremendous job up in DFW right now as well. So come join us on ontexasfootball.com. You'll have a great day. Here's Javian Osborne.
It was a very, amazing time. I had, fun with Coach Choice, Coach Jonah Williams. I got to talk with Coach Sarkeesian as well. It was very fun. Just enjoyable times like always. Coach Sar, he was just asking me what I was doing. Just checking up on me. Just seeing how the family was because my mom and dad came down there. So, we was just, it was just a little vibe. Oh yeah, Coach Choice, man, that's one of my guys that I really like. He's been recruiting me since a freshman, so it's been a journey so far. But relationships with him, it's been awesome. Just being able to talk with him, text him anytime. He's able to answer the phone for me, and just check up on me. Yes, sir. It was the first time I've been up there. It was pretty amazing. Just being able to get on campus, kind of, seeing the place, feeling it out for myself, seeing, if I can, be able to live there. My plan for the recruiting process, I'm just taking it real slow. I know it's a big choice, big decision in my life. So, before I make any, top 10 or top fives or whatever, I want to be able to, get to any school, get to be able to, go to any games or where kind of get a feel for the place, the stadium, the vibes, and everything there is. Texas they definitely had good running backs. As you said, you had Jonathan Brooks, 24. You had C.J. Baxter, of course. That's you know who else? You had Wisner. Just some of those guys. It was pretty. It was a nice offense. Being able to kind of see the place, feel the atmosphere. That was one of my first Texas games when I played back then when I seen it back in Kansas State. So it was pretty fun to see and kind of get to feel the atmosphere a little bit. Yes, sir. I'll definitely say Jameer Gibbs and probably Saquon Barkley as well. I have a little shiftiness to my game, breakaway speed, home run hitter, to be able to make guys miss in a hole. Yes, sir. I definitely say, it's always room for improvement in the passing game. Being able to pass by from a quarterback. Also, just being able to be all three downs of a running back. Being able to pass, block, run the ball, of course, but also, being able to catch the ball out the backfield.